So this is LaserBolt and welcome to today's video, guys. Today's video is a question I get asked on stream very often, and I kind of wanted to bring it up to you guys because you might be playing it the wrong way. And today we're going to be talking about anomaly power versus firepower. Which build is better? Which one works better for you? That's all we're going to be discussing today. So if that sounds like something you're definitely interested, a like would be greatly appreciated. Now let's talk about anomaly power versus weapon power. So before we get into the actual topic itself, I do want to give you guys a quick rundown of what it actually affects when you're using one or the other. I think a lot of people are under the misconception that something does something and then it doesn't really do something. So what exactly does firepower affect? Firepower affects a total of 6 different things. It affects your weapon damage, your critical chance, your critical hit chance, your close range weapon damage, your long range weapon bonus, and of course your damage piercing. Those are the main 6 components that your weapon firepower actually affects. So whenever you're putting a build together or whenever you're looking at mods, you want to look at mods that concentrate for those 6 specific type of objects. Number 2, what does anomaly power affect? So anomaly power affects a total of 4 different things. It affects skill damage bonus, status power, global cooldown reduction, and resistant piercings. Now, those are the 4 main things that anomaly power actually benefits. So the question becomes is, which one is better? So I'm pretty sure for you guys, you're either on a firepower build or you are on an anomaly build. It is very rarely that a lot of people are going through the middle tree, which is kind of like the tanky version of the skill tree. Now, there are some characters that do benefit from the middle tree, but primarily there's either one group that likes the highest DPS as possible. That would be people under the firepower group. And then there's people who like to spam their skills and use the skills to actually equate with their power. So which one is better? Well, let's go ahead and try to answer that as best as we can. So the first thing I want to talk about, guys, is something that really doesn't get addressed much, and that is how good your aim is. Now, I believe for firepower build, guys, I think that, if you're playing on PC and you have decent aim, firepower builds are actually pretty good. Now, for most of controller players, there are some really good controller players out there that can hit those crit shots, but it's not as common as it comes to the PC. It's just a lot easier to aim on PC than it is with your controller. Now, some firepower builds do require you to be landing crit shots to be the most effective and output the most damage. And that's why I feel like some of you might be playing the wrong style for the game. Yes, you might want to run a firepower build, but it seems like you're not landing crit shots or you're not landing headshots, and that is affecting the overall damage you're able to output. And overall, it's affecting how long you're able to survive, because usually the way firepower builds are meant to be played is the faster you kill the enemy, the faster you're able to keep that survivability. Of course, as you guys may already know, the big ones here are Technomancer and of course the Trickster, who are primarily focusing on firepower builds. Yes, the Devastator is able to do a firepower build. I do have one for him. Yes, the Pyromancer is able to do a firepower build as well, but the main 2 ones that output the most damage when it comes to firepower are, of course, our fellow Trickster and our Technomancer. Now, like I said, they do rely heavily on landing crit shots, and this is why I feel like some of you guys might be playing the wrong, kind of the wrong setup, because some of you might not be able to land those crit shots, and that's going to be crucial on the amount of DPS that you output. Now let's talk about anomaly builds. So for anomaly builds, guys, it's not primarily focused on how much damage you're doing with your weapon, but it's actually focusing on how much damage you do with your skills, your abilities, and also how well you use the mods. Now, I know there is a little bit of discrepancy there when people say, okay, you're over abusing a mod. You shouldn't be using that mod too often. It's a glitch when you use that mod. I'm going to tell you guys one thing. So Fortress, or the main bread and butter of any anomaly build, which is Fortress, which buffs everything up to 45%. This is the main problem that I see with anomaly builds, because not everybody has access to this Fortress mod. Now, Fortress mod is what makes anomaly builds actually work and actually do enough damage. And I feel like since the mod is kind of gatekept against a legendary weapon dropping for you, I think a lot of people kind of shine away from anomaly builds because it's very difficult to actually get that mod to make their anomaly builds actually work. But when you actually get this mod, guys, I'm telling you guys right now, you are going to fall in love with an anomaly build. Now, the reason I think anomaly builds are so good in this game is because this game is focused on one primary aspect, and that is the ability of you being able to use your abilities at a very low cooldown rate. That is what makes this game extremely awesome, because usually other games, the casting abilities of the cooldowns are actually a little bit relatively high. In this one, you can get stuff back with your cooldown in 6 seconds. Yes, guys, 6 seconds. You only have a downtime from using your abilities on some characters and some abilities. This is what makes this game great, is the fact that you're able to cast your abilities very frequently and very fast. Now, in addition to that, if you are running an anomaly build, you're going to be benefiting from that anomaly power every 6 seconds, which makes it really, really good. And in addition to that, you're able to cast this multiple times. Now, the good thing about this is that every single character is currently right now in Outriders is able to play an anomaly build and do high level content, which makes it really awesome. So you're able to do CT15s all the way up. You're even able to do the Eye of the Storm all the way up, but you won't be outmaxing a DPS person or someone that's running a firepower build that can hit crit shots or could do maximum DPS. And this is where I think the problem lies when it comes to Outriders. A lot of people are taking this game like if this was like Call of Duty or this was like some really hardcore game where people need to do the most damage to be effective. I think this particular game is very synergized when it comes to team play. There are characters that have to have certain roles to actually make it work. For example, the Pyromancer would be one of them. He is the master of debuffing. If you want to make sure you do a lot of damage and you run a Devastator, Trickster, if you want a Technomancer, your best friend is a Pyromancer, man. He's going to be debuffing everything. He's not going to, when the screen ends, he's not going to have a lot of damage. He's probably going to have like 30 million, 20 million, 40 million, but you are going to be having a ton of damage because he's debuffing every single enemy that's in the battlefield. And I think that's the biggest problem right now currently in the game is a lot of people are playing their characters the way the game is not intended to be played. And I think that's why this topic is so important, because a lot of people feel like, you know, they look at the stats at the ending of the screen like, yo, man, I did 300 million damage and you only did 40 million damage, but they're not taking into account the way the characters are meant to be played. Is the Technomancer meant to be the highest DPS? I think they actually made a mistake on this one. I didn't think he was meant to be the highest DPS. I think the highest DPS person that was meant to be the highest DPS was definitely the Trickster. I don't know why the Technomancer, whose role is to be a healer, outputs the most damage when, you know, it's not really losing too much disadvantage when it comes to getting his health back. He gets his health back basically by doing damage. So theoretically, he's almost never dying. Now, the Trickster has a lot to risk because he is very squishy. He doesn't have a lot to come from except for his shield, and he should be theoretically be the one that outputs the most damage. But I guess currently in the game that is not the case, and I think that's the reason why there is so much discrepancy on what character is best, which is to do better, and why anomaly power might not be so great when it comes to firepower, because the characters are not playing their roles. But to not digress too much, I want to give you guys my opinion on what I believe to be better. Now, for firepower builds, I like them. I think they're really effective, but I feel like if I want to play a game where I'm only using my gun to do a bunch of damage and not taking advantage of the mods, not taking too much advantage of me using my skills over and over, I feel like I should probably be playing another game. I feel like if I'm playing a game that requires and gives me the advantage of being able to use and cast abilities and cast skills over and over and use mods that are make me really powerful and make me output as much damage as I possibly can, then I feel like anomaly builds are definitely the way I would go about it. I feel this game shouldn't be so much about how much DPS you can do with a gun, but how well synergized the mods are and how well synergized your combos are when it comes to using your abilities. I feel anomaly builds should be king when it comes to Outriders. Now, is that the case right now? No. Now, should fire builds still be viable? Yes. Should fire builds do the most damage? This is where I kind of have like a little bit of misconception. I kind of want to hear you guys' opinion, because do you feel like this game you should do the most damage with your weapon, or you should do the most damage with your ability combos and mod combos? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I do hope this does give you a little bit more insight on anomaly power and firepower, and maybe why you might want to change it up and try a different route if you guys are stuck in one or the other. Let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think? I do want to know from you guys, are you running an anomaly build? Are you running a firepower build? And if you are, do you plan on switching, or do you guys like the state of the game the way it is? Let me know all that in the comment section down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you guys on the next video.